and you are welcome to another edition of the exclusive interview powered by Enumba Television. Now, today we are going to be discussing insecurity, Plateau killings, genocide, and government accountability and responsibility. Due to the sensitivity and interest of this topic, we brought four different guests, experts in their different fields, and we have the principal partner, Cloud Farms Consult Law Firm. He's also the team lead trainer, Initiative for Peace and Justice and Development. He's also a two-time legal advisor for the Ugwuonye movement and the Ugwuonye Development Association, Barrister Redzie Jugo. Barrister Redzie Jugo, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. And
we also have the president, Eculo Group, founder and CEO, Due Process Advocates International Foundation, Mr. Ephraim, Emeka, Ugwuonye. Mr. Ugwuonye, it's a pleasure to have you here. And we also have the director of Nigerian Civil War and Genocide Research Network. He's also a research fellow in exile at the Institute of African Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He is also an expert in ethno-religious conflict with particular focus on Black Africa and Middle East. Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe. Dr. Nwaezeigwe, thank you for coming. And the fourth guest we have today is a senior research fellow and director for Genocide in Africa at the Christian Solidarity International, Zurich, Switzerland. Onyemaechi Franklyne Ogbunwezeh. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I hope I got the name right.
Well, you crucified it, but we will rectify it in the course of the program.
All right. Let us start with Barrister Redzie. Barrister Redzie, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. What do we know is currently happening in Plateau State?
There's a lot going on in Plateau State. Thank you once again for the opportunity to be here. One thing that I can start by saying is that we are at that place where we are not very sure about, it's almost as if we do not know if we're part of the nation at all. Because some of the basic rights that citizens are supposed to enjoy under the 1999 Constitution seems like an alien concept to us. We're in a place where life has really, in the proverbial words of those who have written it, have become very short and uncertain. We have, in the last, and let me make it very clear that it is just in more forums than one. It has just become suddenly, become a very famous concept, killings, bloodletting in Plateau State, in Jos, in the fringes, in the villages, in Jos North, in Jos South. So I'm talking about rural, and I'm also talking about within the metropolis. Some of these things can be traced back to more than 10 years ago, when some of these crises started. What we are seeing now is just a accumulation of many years of neglect, many years of people in authority not putting their best foot forward to be the kind of vanguard that the people desire. So you have situations whereby the people have counted their losses, have had more than 30 of their villages ransacked, people killed. People on a regular basis go to the farms, but are not sure that they're going to get home in the morning. Just last month, after one of the Jebum Miango villages was sacked, with more than 500 houses razed to the ground, destroyed, motorcycles burnt. In the same place where before that time we had a stationary, armored personnel carrier stationed there. Every time you pass Nwankwo, it's always there. All of a sudden, that place got raised down and moved. Now we had a situation whereby, because there were certain farms around that place, some people decided to leave the IDP camps to go there to go and see what they could get for their families. Even those ones were not spared. We have situations whereby, even if people are saying, well, some of these killings are reprisals. What happened to Yalwan Kangam recently? Very peaceful town, not too far from the University of Jos. They were sleeping at night, and before they know what's happening, people just descended on that community and killed them. Those who did not kill, they roasted. They're very gory pictures. They're all over the net. Now, we're at a place where the people feel very pushed to the wall. They do not believe in the rhetorics that have been coming from government, both at the federal and at the state. They do not believe that there is a clear path towards ensuring that all of this madness stops. There's no clear path towards ensuring that justice is given to the normal man on an everyday. Because even those who have been arrested and shown to be suspects in some of these programs are either released, put on bail, or you hear that they have gone to Abuja and nothing else is heard of them. So we're at a place where when you make a call for self-defense, it's very loud. It is a very loud call. However, we're also at a place where you have to juxtapose the call for self-defense vis-a-vis the government telling you that you need to surrender everything that you have that is not legal, any instrument of coercion that you have, any of these things that are not sanctioned. So, by one hand, we're thrown into this chaos where people and communities are killed, and government is not doing so much apart from rhetorics that don't help anything and don't safeguard the people. And then when they try to mobilize themselves to try to safeguard themselves, try to keep themselves alive to the next morning, before you know what's happening, curfews are imposed, and during curfews, more people are killed, and those who are not killed, the little things that they have to defend themselves are taken away from them. So there's a fundamental question that is not too far-fetched or different from what is happening across the country right now, in the Middle Belt, in the Southeast, and a lot of other states, even far-fetched, far-flung from here. What is actually happening? It is systematic, and unfortunately, as it is, I've also conducted a research on behalf of one or two NGOs that we worked with in recent times. We sat down with victims in over 25 flashpoint communities, the most devastated communities in Plateau State, across about 5 local governments of Jos North, Jos South, Bokos local government, Berkeladi, and Riom. We have sat down with not less than 12 respondents in all of those places. And one thing that comes very clearly is that most of those communities that were devastated and attacked, always, more often than not, had the most luscious greeneries, you had like Geshish that was attacked in 2018. You need to see the kind of foliage that grows up in that place. You need to see the kind of waterfalls that is in that place. Natural grazing land. Natural, the lands are fertile. And then apart from that, you have solid minerals that you can't even quantify on taps. So we see some of those trends, and we see that you don't even need to provoke an attack. So some of the narratives that comes up more often than not, that tends to want to suggest that there's a war going on, that there's a clash. There's no clash. What is happening there is an attack. People are being attacked in their homes and killed. We have communities in Berkeley, or the border between Berkeley and local government as it is. That, you know, not only have those places been attacked and rendered, you know, without the original inhabitants of those places, even the names of those places have been changed. So when you hear people saying that you need to take advantage of the law, we wonder whether we're paying lip service to the case. Because it is a clear case of, even if you wanted to simplify it or make it as basic as possible, it's a clear case of people forcefully, criminally trespassing on other people's land, their ancestral land. And when you say you want to do the best for them, you need to start from the basics. What happened to going to those places and asking those people how they came about living in people's houses? How you came about, you know, being on land. I was just talking to someone recent, just a while ago. He was telling me about, you know, how as it is right now, they can't even go and farm in their ancestral places because they need to take permission from people who came and drove them away from the land, and now sitting on it. In 2018, after they killed about, so I'm sorry. I mean, I can go on and on.
What?
It's the thing that
I understand. I understand, Barrister. I understand, Barrister Jugo, but let us go to another guest. Now, when you were speaking, you alluded to a historical baggage. So let's talk to the historical expert, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the current situation in Plateau State and in Nigeria in general, can you trace the historical baggage that led to this insecurity we're facing in Nigeria and in particular, and Plateau State in particular?
Okay. The historical development started in 1804 jihad of Usman and Fodio that led to the collapse of Habe kingdoms, the Hausa ruling kingdom, Nupe ruling kingdom, and some Yoruba areas. And it continued for some time, but it had to be stopped by some people. The majority of people of the present Middle Belt were never conquered. And even to some extent, other people in the northern parts, like majority of the Borno people of Kanuri and related groups were never conquered. Majority of the present Zamfara states were never conquered. So it was just patches of caliphates that constituted the Sokoto Caliphate. The emergence of the British colonial powers in 1900 brought about an empowerment of the Fulani, the Fortran Fulani Caliphate. The Fulani Caliphate was already dying at that time. It was when the British now came, because of their need to maintain some level, some levels of prudence due to the large size of the area and lack of resources, they decided to empower these already defeated Sokoto, Sokoto emirs and the caliphate, empower them under the system of indirect rule. And through that system, they now lumped the previously unconquered areas into the authority. And that was actually where the resistance started. And when the resistance started, these people started protesting. For long, it did not work. They constrained them into the northern region. They were being oppressed and stopped. Yes. And it was in fact, background noise somewhere. It was in fact in 1949 that a private member, but already lands like Thief people have been resisting against them. The just Biron people have been resisting. have been resisting them over the gold mine until 1949, when a private member tried to move a motion restricting Christian missionaries among these people. That was when Obadiah Lott, representing the present Plateau area in the Northern House of Assembly, said no, it will not happen, and now formed non-Christian league. From non-Christian league to Middle Belt League. From Middle Belt League, it now became United Middle Belt Congress, of which Taka and others. So the resistance continued, because in the First Republic, these people never voted MPC. They were a session was voting consistently for NCNC. A session under Taka was also voting for Action Group. So it also many riots that went into the First Republic to independence, that at the time of 1966 coup, more than 30 activists were locked up in prison by Ahmadu Bello. So the whole system had been going on. And even Tafawa Balewa, if you look at it, it was only in 1965 that the rail line reached, got to Maiduguri. Rail line actually passed through Jos. It passed through Jos. But as a punitive measure, Tafawa Balewa had to cut off the rail from Jos, because Jos rail was very, very important there because of mining, the tin, and other, minerals. But as a punitive measure for the opposition, Tafawa Balewa had to cut Jos off from the rail line, put it through them to Bauchi. So these people have been having that recurrent decimal of operation over time. It did not start today. And it continues because now empowered with modern government, this Fulani hegemony now try to extend their jihad down to Middle Belt and then to entire Nigeria, because their action and their plan is how to turn Nigeria into a Muslim state, which was actually what Usman Danfodio desired in his thesis of dipping the Quran into the Atlantic Ocean. So it has been going on. It has been a recurring decimal. It did not start today. And now it has moved to the south. So it's no longer a question of the Middle Belt region experiencing the massacre, the intimidation, and the oppressive caliphate hegemony. It has now extended to southern Nigeria. So that's all I can say now. It's it has a historical root in the structural development of this nation. Thank you very much.
Okay, remember that you can join the conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I will try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, let's go to Onyemaechi Franklyne. Are you here?
Yes, of course, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay, now, in your opinion and from your knowledge, Dr. Nwaezeigwe has already given us the historical background, but from your experience and from your knowledge, can you say that the current government could have done anything to prevent this genocide or pogrom, if you will?
Well, thank you very much. And I say a happy, great evening to my co-panelists today. Well, just to answer your question very straight, what is happening in the middle belt of Nigeria and in most parts of the country is attributed both to a failure of governance. The government has failed totally because the principal function of a government is the welfare of the people, protection of life and property. That's why if you read Thomas Hobbes' social contract, we subleased our rights so that the government could gather this monopoly of violence to protect us. But in the case of Nigeria, that is not happening. So the federal government has failed. People are being slaughtered every day in what can only be described as genocidal. This is ethnic cleansing. The Ugwuonye people are massacred. The Birom people are massacred day in, day out. And these massacres are spilling down south, like Dr. Nwaezeigwe said. We all are witnesses to that. And that the government it seems to be unable or incompetent to arrest this slide into anarchy. is beyond any reasonable consideration. I cannot even understand it for the life of me that we have a president who sits down there and watches things happen, and he has not even uttered a word. It is only when Fulani men are killed that he comes out to say something. So that it gives Nigerians a sense of being second-class citizens in their own country, that their president cannot even address them when their loved ones are massacred or slaughtered. But once somebody from the president's tribe or religion is killed, the president comes out to tell us that he's a president. Then are we having an absentee landlord as a president? We voted this man in. It's a democracy, for God's sake. So he should listen to the cries of the people. The government should rise up and bring every perpetrator of this act of pogrom and genocide on the people of the Middle Belt and down south to book. So we are sick and tired of listening to the narrative that they don't know what is happening. They know actually what is happening. So the government has failed. That's what it is. There is no two ways to that. The government needs to be told to its face that it has failed the Nigerian people. It has failed in its statutory responsibilities of protecting the lives and property of Nigerians. That's what it is.
Okay, let's go back to Barrister Jugo. Barrister Jugo, are you there?
I'm with you.
Okay, Governor Simon Langveld just met with some key stakeholders in Just North in a bid to, checkmate this insecurity challenge. Do you think that this move is a way to now say that, okay, government is now being accountable and responsible for the insecurity in their state?
The truth about our situation, really, it is not as if we don't know what the issues are or we don't know what needs to be done. I mean, all of that is pretty much moot. However, it is repeatedly the will to move forward on what we already know is the way forward on this. I mean, like has been mentioned, I don't have a problem with people sitting around a table, and drinking coffee and having discussions. But we've had so many of these discussions before now. Let me tell you a case in point. In 2018, after there was a massacre of about 400 people from I was one of those who was invited to the government house and spoke on behalf of my community, basically making it very clear that we needed to ensure that, there is a barracks that is put in the Gashi community. The vice president was there. He represented the president of the country. However, till date, since 2018, after all that discussion that was held, that we're going to put a barracks there, we're going to make sure that, where we create a buffer zone so that people can stay safe and then people can also be able to go back to their homes. Nothing has been done. Now, that particular community felt it was safe to take back their lives, rebuild their houses, and start their farms back again. You would not believe what happened. They built their houses there, started to, take it to places where, had been destroyed before. As I speak to you, those houses have been taken down block by brick, block by block. In that same community that in 2018 was promised to them, that a mobile barracks was going to be built there. So what is the point I'm trying to make? Ultimately, it has to go beyond discussions. The governor was there on that day. The vice president was around. The DG of NEMA was there, and a whole lot of people. But as I talk to you, we haven't seen one relief material for the last how many years? One relief material coming from the center. We know that it happens because in other climes, in other states, we see that relief materials are given and contribution is given to some of those people. But that is why we feel as if we're not part of this country. We don't feel as if people are doing that much to try to make sure that we are shown that we're citizens of. Do we feel like some of those discussions are going to yield anything? We're very skeptical. As a matter of fact, a lot of people are very pessimistic about those sit downs. It is not enough. We need to see things happening. We need to see people being moved, to that place where, we believe that we're being safeguarded. Right now, we do not feel that way, and we're not very optimistic.
Okay, thank you so much. Let us go to Mr. Emeka. Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye. Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye, can you hear me?
Hear you now, and I had to unmute myself. It's a pleasure to meet my colleagues, fellow panelists. My argument or my view is strongly aligned to that of Dr. Ogbunwezeh, because we are looking at the question that has been, that I've heard all along is, what is the role of the state in the context of all these things? What has the state done to discharge its constitutional duties and its duties under international law? It is the failure of the state that is really the most controlling of all these events. And Dr. Ogbunwezeh spoke in the context of state failure, which is obviously what it is. But I'm inclined to go further. I'm inclined to go beyond state failure and think or talk in terms of state connivance, state indulgence. The permissive attitude of the state towards this event suggests some degree of complicity, some degree of connivance. And once we begin to look in that direction, we also begin to look at the possibility of war crimes, crimes against humanity. Because essentially, as the gentleman Jugo spoke, this killing is systematic, or rather systemic, and somehow aided by active action of the state or inaction of the state. For instance, by action, state elements go into these villages, take away their weapons and capacity to defend themselves against being slaughtered. And then somehow the state fails to prosecute, fails to prevent attacks, fails to prosecute those who conduct the attacks, and fail to compensate victims or to return them to their places and provide them protection. So this degree of failure, in other words, I agree with Ogbunwezeh that there's state failure. But I'm going forward to say that this failure is not just an act of incompetence or lack of capacity to do anything. We're dealing with something that appears deliberate, a failure that appears deliberate, because ultimately there cannot be a solution to these crises without either the state performs its functions or the state is somehow discarded or ruled out as a participant. Because look at what is going on. I read comments from the state government or state politicians asking people to defend themselves. That will never be an efficient way to resolve this. Asking villagers to defend themselves, in essence, removing the police and the military from the equation and leaving it between the victims and the attackers, that's not going to be a solution at all. So, Nigerian state ultimately takes responsibility, and this failure is too glaring that we can't just call it ordinary. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Just to cut it short.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Before you talk about the self-defense by the government and the agitations for that, let's talk about the deliberate actions by the government to promote this violence before we talk about the other one. Now, do you think that the federal government assumed or knew rather that the open grazing bill and the Ruga bill was going to lead to this much catastrophe in the Middle East?
Well,
did you get my question?
I got your question, but I'm trying to say it's not just as simple as the government knowing that the open grazing policy was going to cause crisis. Obviously, it is causing crisis. It is known. But there is also an element of the failure of the state to contain the crisis. Assuming the state has said, yes, we know that some people will do certain things, but we are prepared for them. Then you have a situation of saying, well, open grazing is essentially a very problematic and controversial policy. It is causing conflict, spreading conflict. So anyone that pushes it is somehow either indifferent or supportive of the conflict it generates. But most importantly, I must add, is that the complete failure of the government to counter these adverse measures. I can understand that a government may embark on a policy that is conflictual, but that government must also think in one fashion or the other of how to address the conflict triggered by its policy. So the Ruga thing is a problem, but above all is the indifference, inability of the government to address the crisis that emanates from this problematic policy. They go hand in hand, really.
Okay, let us go back to Mr. Ogbunwezeh. Mr. Ogbunwezeh, can you hear me?
Yes, I just simply unmuted myself. Well, everything Barrister Ugwuonye just analyzed and laid out the facts the way they are. But I want to add that the killings have been going on with or without Ruga, because almost every other night, people are being killed in the middle belt of Nigeria. There seems to be a massive demographic displacement. There seems to be a strategy behind that to move people out of their ancestral homes and resettle the Fulanis there in the middle belt. This is what is happening. So whether Ruga or no Ruga, Buhari, who is promoting Ruga as a state policy, is promoting ranching in his own home state and then promoting Ruga in the rest of Nigeria. Isn't that hypocritical for a president to be doing one thing and promoting some other thing for other people? So whether Ruga or not, the state has failed in its responsibility to protect Nigerians who pay taxes to the government, Nigerians who voted for this government, Nigerians who owe their protection to the state. So like Emeka rightly analyzed, that the governors will tell people to go and defend themselves. This is the greatest abdication of responsibility I've ever heard in my life. A government telling people, hey, you are on your own. It can only happen in Nigeria. I cannot even understand it. Governors are mouthing it as if to say that's the greatest thing to happen to us since sliced bread. But that's irresponsible. People pay taxes to you. People sublease their rights to you for you to defend them. And all you are telling them is defend yourselves. You are on your own. Our government has failed us. And this is why we tell people that elections have consequences. If you vote in ignorant people, if you vote in greedy people, if you vote in men and women who have no integrity and character, this is the kind of thing you will get, is what we are getting in Nigeria at the moment. This government, I have not seen anybody in this present federal government that has any ounce of integrity, because if they do, they should be ashamed that the rest of the world is watching Nigeria kill her own citizens or support the killing of her own citizens in their own homes at night, women and children being raped, and we are doing nothing and we are just discussing it. It is shameful.
Okay, now considering the fact that there are no state police, legally there are no state police, all the police are under the federal government, what actions do you think the states can take to curb this insecurity?
Thank you very much. I wanted to point to that. This is what my organization is trying to promote in Nigeria, Christian Solidarity International. We want a kind of situation where there is devolution of power in Nigeria. This power that resides in the federal government, the power of state, we should have state police so that these governors could react in good time to such issues of violence in their domains. Allowing the federal government to have all the power and not doing anything is a disservice to Nigerians. We should evolve. There is constitutional evolution. We should do that in Nigeria as well. We should try to devolve the power that the center has, and then that the state government should have all police powers to raise forces against elements that would try to disturb the peace of the people. So that's a very important devolution of power. Nigeria should start talking about it before Nigeria goes to hell. Because if we don't do anything at this time, that country is ripe for implosion. And it is happening everywhere. We can see that. So it is time now for Nigerians to tell themselves the truth. The truth that is staring us in the face is that that country is no longer healthy. This is a country that kills our citizens, and this is a country that allows our citizens to be slaughtered in their beds without raising a finger to defend them. So we need state police. We need devolution of power. So much of the power that the federal government has should be subleased to the states, to the regions. Let them take care of themselves there at that level. It will be easier for the people to be defended against external attacks, since our federal government has shown incompetence or inability or unwillingness to defend the people being killed day in, day out in the middle belt of Nigeria. That's all I have to say to that.
Okay, remember that you can join the discussion simply by reason of your digital hand, and I will try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Let us go to Dr. Nwaezeigwe. Doctor, can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, now let's go back a bit to history. The President Muhammadu Buhari have come out and said that he is not trying to Islamize Nigeria, and he has refuted all allegations pertaining to that. How do you feel about this?
It's not. I think it's not that he's not being economical with the truth, but it just is a fabrication. It's a fabricated mendacity. Let me just put it that way. Right from his time as an army officer, you see, people really, the Northerners are very smart. As soon as they took power, they decided to downgrade the study of history at the lower level. If not for some of us who have love in history, we should have been driven away from that area. President Muhammad Buhari, first of all, carried out the second heinous massacre in Igbo land during the Nigerian Civil War after Murtala's Asaba massacre. And that was in Okutu, Nsukka local government area. That is one. And if he's telling, and from his statements over time, he has proven himself to be a fanatical Islamist. A fanatical Islamist. So he cannot, first of all, as the head of state and commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Major General Muhammad Buhari appointed a Fulani as his a Fulani and a Muslim as his second in command, without regard to the religious and ethnic demography of the Nigerian nation. Tunde Idiabon was a Fulani from Kwara State and also a Muslim, and people did not talk. And having done that, he said that once in your power, every other person becomes a cow for you. And secondly, when he came to power, I knew what happened. I went to court to challenge him over Islamization. First of all, he borrowed $100 billion Sukuk bond. And Sukuk bond can only be given by an Islamic bank or Islamic development bank. And he borrowed it. And what is Sukuk bond? Sukuk bond, if you go to their own conditions, by Sukuk bond, you are bound to act according to the dictates of Islam. If they construct your road with Sukuk bond, what it means is that that road is owned jointly by you. Because when they talk of non-interest-free loan, there's nothing like interest-free loan. In Islam, what you have is joint ownership. When they construct a road for you, that road becomes, they become part owners of that land. What it means is that they have rights to build mosques on the side, have a grazing reserves on it and other things. And this explains why Ebonyi State is ahead of introducing accepting open grazing or whatever, because Ebonyi State is the only Southeast state today that has taken that Sukuk bond. So he's under the bondage of Islam. Secondly, the president also, as soon as power in 2016, he rushed Nigeria into an Islamic military coalition with Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and others. And people did not ask questions. Why? You have ECOWAS, you have African Union, you have United Nations. What is the point of drafting Nigeria into Islamic, into Islamic organization, military pact? People did not ask questions. And then he goes along. You can look at his own pattern of appointments. And he does it. He has a Fulani man is in charge of Federal Character Commission or whatever. And you look at the demographic character of his appointments. They are all people by Fulani, all sensitive positions. And so when people are talking about election, 2023 election, I tell them you are talking about fallacy, because a situation where the Fulani is the president, the Fulani is INEC chairman, the Fulani is the army in the chief of army staff, the Fulani is the chief police, is inspector general of police, he's the chief justice, he's the president of court of appeal, he's the head of Federal Character Commission, he's the head of EFCC. These are instruments of coercion in the federation, and they're telling you are going for an election. And then they have that wobbling constitution where they will always refer you to, if you are not satisfied with the result of the election, you go to law court. And who are those people? Who are those that will be presiding in that court? The Fulani. So you find that anybody telling you that this government is impeccably steadfast, impeccably unbiased, is non-ethnic, is not Islamic, that person, I think, should be running, should be having some political stomach. That's what I believe. And that explains now. And if you look at it, all the killings in Zamfara, all the killings in Niger by the bandits, there hadn't been any Fulani victim. And all the killings by Fulani people, no Fulani man had been brought before the court of law. No Fulani herdsman had been arrested. No prosecution, nothing. And people are trying to tell me that this is not a Fulani government. And that explains, for me, those people telling us to defend ourselves, they're on the right path. And it's ridiculous to see a government, to see a military, the army, the armed forces of the Federation, telling people that they should not defend themselves. You are talking about an army that, yes, let me conclude. An army that could not even defend themselves. That the whole Nigerian Defense Academy, the fortress of the fortress breeding ground of our future army commanders, was raided, and senior army officers were abducted and killed. The army could not protect their own, and they're telling civilians not to protect themselves. It can't be possible. And that is why we're saying that it is right now for every Nigerian to rise up and protect themselves. Because the problem in Nigeria is not northern. People talk about Hausa north. The north is not our problem. Fulani is our problem. Fulani is the problem in the north. It's the problem in the middle belt. It's the problem in the southeast. It's the problem in the south. And the problem in the south.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwaezeigwe. We'll come back to you, but we promised to let Barrister Jugo go by 9 o'clock. So let's go back to him. Barrister Jugo. Barrister Jugo. Okay. Just before we let you go, now, what do you think? Well, what do you suggest the government can do to stop these killings?
Well, now I'm going to be speaking in an ideal situation. Already, it has been made very clear that due to certain historical antecedents of the president and those who are around him, we might not be able to expect so much to be done because things are generally skewed in such a way that we are at a place where we're more or less second-hand or second-class citizens that don't expect so much that can be done. But one thing I do know is that we need to see basics, the basics. Plateau people, for instance, and people generally around this middle belt are not asking for too much. For one, the basic, putting heads together and showing empathy with your people goes a very long way. It says to the people who you are governing over, it says, I am with you. We are in this together. We're going to proffer solutions together, and we're going to find ways of getting through this. It also says to the federal government that I am loyal to the people who elected me into this government, who gave me this particular office to run on their behalf during the social contract when they voted me into office. And he says also that I need to give a lot of welfare to the individuals that are in that particular state. At the federal government, it is a no-brainer to say very clearly that, the instruments of coercion and the agencies of coercion are not doing very much. We have a situation whereby between where some of these killings are happening, you have the GOC sitting there of the 3rd Admiral Division, barely 10 minutes away from those communities. And when you ask questions as to why they're not saying or lifting fingers, they will tell you they haven't been given the order to so do. We had a situation whereby in the middle of, tensions being doused in communities, flashpoint communities in Plateau State, we started seeing checkpoints being taken away for no reason at all. You have a community in Jos North local government, in the fringes of Jos North local government called Dong, where you have some of the most fertile grounds there. What happened there is that before you knew what was happening, the military formations that were creating the buffer zone between the Fulani people and the indigenous communities there that are made largely of Biroms, Irigwes, Afizeres, and tribes from the central zone. They were there living in peace because of those particular formations that are there. Before we know something, they took them off. We need to see a deliberate attempt to say, listen, this problem may not go away now, but we need to see that there is government presence. We need to see that there is formations, military formations, or Operation Safe Haven is actually acting in the way that it is supposed to act, namely to try and ensure that people are not killed at will. And then when people are called upon or when attacks are being taken to those communities, they do not wait till morning before they act. We need to see that those who have been sent to the National Assembly are very, very particular about the state policing. We agree totally that there needs to be a devolution of power. We have given government and governors that are not willing to stand with their people an excuse to say, well, we do not own the authorities of coercion. We cannot do more than we're doing at this point. But we know what the situation is. Yes, it is a total application of the federal and the state government's bottom line. We're giving them a room to say, we are not doing so much, or we're doing so much when we know that in fact they are not. We need to see that the government puts their best foot forward to try and make sure that those who are caught, because a lot of suspects have been caught. I know for certain that not less than 1 or 2 buses before what happened in Rukuba Road happened, where people were caught with arms and ammunition in their vehicles. They were taken to the police station and to the Operation Safe Haven headquarters. But before you know what's happening, we do not see them being prosecuted for any reason. Nothing like that happened. And before you know what's happening, everything is swept under the carpet. So we need to see that people are being are proactive in this regard. I think it is because people are despondent and they are at a place where they are saying, we cannot trust the government anymore, that they have started saying, well, maybe we need to start looking for other avenues to make sure that while we are waiting for government to do its bit, that we see a situation whereby we are alive to be able to see justice being done. But I assure you, that we're in a place where the trust for government, both at the state and the federal level, is very low and probably non-existent. That we feel that, probably the only way to even coerce the state and the federal governments to do what is necessary is probably to take our issues to the ICC, to the United Nations, and all of those other organs that are outside of this country that probably might be able to also bring about some sanction or watch us very closely to ensure that the federal and the state government do much more than they're doing right now. Thank you.
Okay, let us call on Barrister Jugo. I'll ask you to please just wait a bit before you leave. I know I promised to let you go by 9 o'clock, but if you wait a bit, I think some participants wants to ask you a question. But before I allow that, let us call on Mr. Ogbunwezeh.
Yeah, well, I thank the barrister
for.
Yes, I can hear you. I thank the barrister for his clear presentation. I would like him to get in touch with me because we are working to see that the ICC take up its investigations for Nigeria further than it has done. Last year when the special prosecutor made her comments about Nigeria. So he can get in touch with me later because we have a lot on the burner right now in relation to that. But on the whole issue, I wish to say thank you to all of you. And then this is a discussion that should be continued. Thank you.
Okay, just before I let you go, can you tell us what your organization is currently doing to prevent the spread of this program or genocide, if you will, in Nigeria?
Yes. Thank you very much. We are active on so many levels. I was in Nigeria this year from April to May. I spent 1 month in Nigeria talking to the stakeholders. I was in Jos. I spent a week in Jos, meeting the people, meeting the Birom, Koneda, and so many stakeholders. I traveled the length and breadth of Nigeria, listening to Nigerians and warning that genocide is in the offing. My organization is doing a lot that we cannot lay out in public at the moment. But one of them is making sure that the ICC in The Hague is empowered to do its job on Nigeria. And we are happy on that in the next weeks. So there are other things. There are so many prongs. We have so many irons in the fire in relation to Nigeria, what I cannot lay open now. But the point lies in the fact that something is being done. This genocide must stop. Nigeria should never be an example for another genocide in Africa. It's my job and my responsibility to make sure that is stopped. And we are giving it all we've got. And it's going to stop, whether the government wants it or not. If they are in connivance with it, some people are going to be standing in the ICC in no distant time to answer for the crimes they committed against humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we have been speaking to the Senior Research Fellow and Director for Genocide Prevention at the Christian Solidarity International, Zurich, Switzerland, Mr. Onyemaechi Franklyne Ogbunwezeh. Thank you so much for coming. And you have asked us to let you go, so we would honor your request and let you go. Thank you so much for coming. And hopefully we'll have a discussion like this.
Before we allow you to run away, is he gone?
No, I'm still here, Daniel.
Yeah, let me ask you a question just for you and Barrister Jugo to address. Okay. Have you been able to differentiate between the different types of killings happening in Nigeria? For instance, are the perpetrators of the killings in Plateau State different from the perpetrators of the killings in Katsina State, the killings in Kebbi State, the killings in Zamfara State, the killings in Borno and Yobe State, and the killings in Ebonyi State, for instance? From your field work, have you been able to differentiate between the perpetrators of these killings?
Yes, Daniel. Thank you very much. This is a very important question. And these are the issues that Nigerians lump together whenever they are discussing this issue. And whenever we are happening on the Fulani, I don't want us to stereotype any ethnic group because it is wrong. There are criminal elements across all ethnic groups. In Jos, in what is happening in the Plateau, these are Fulani headsmen. And we can see a clear strategy of ethnic displacement, ethnic cleansing, what we can call genocide. This comes from Fulani headsmen. They are known, and the villagers have complained. The statistics are there. In Katsina State, for example, we have bandits. They are faceless. Some people will tell you that these were imported in 2005 to fight against Jonathan if he doesn't concede the election. So these are bandits, bands. And we have seen what is happening in Zamfara State. Gold is being smuggled there. And this gold, some analysts working for the International Crisis Group have said that this gold smuggling is being used to finance what Islamic State for West Africa intends to do in Nigeria in the future. So there are a lot of things going on. And the Fulani headsmen that are going with their cattle down the east of Nigeria, like in Ebonyi State, these are having clashes with the local communities. These are Fulani headsmen as well. These are not locals. They are known. So we have the Boko Haram is now decimated by ISWAP, that Islamic State for West Africa. That is the next danger that Nigerians are going to be facing. These guys are arming themselves to the teeth. They have decimated Boko Haram. After dealing with Boko Haram, they are now facing the Nigerian government and Nigerian people. So whoever is financing these elements doesn't wish Nigeria well at all. So we are facing a serious danger. These are various groups, but they have similar goals. And these goals are ethnic displacement, what people call Islamization, and genocide is an instrument they are using to achieve that. So there are various groups doing almost the same thing, murdering Nigerians. Thank you for that question, Daniel.
Right. Let me just add a little bit to what the good doctor said. I mean, I agree totally with you are breaking it down, leaving very little for me to add on what you've said. Let me just say that where we have, in our situation, it was such that when we went, like I mentioned earlier, we sat down not less than 12 respondents in not less than 25 communities across 4 to 5 local governments in Plateau State. Now, one of the things that you find in most of the narrative of the people is that they even knew these people by name. They gave us their names, because when they came back, there were people that were living there, intermarrying with them. They knew them. And then at some point in time, for some reason, the people disappeared. So it became a trend. Whenever in communities whenever people from within the criminal elements, especially within those particular ethnic groups, in this regard, the Fulani people disappear, or they just sidestep, or they're no longer in the community. It became that much more later you are going to get attacked. So when these people did come back at some point in time, they knew them by name, and these names have been called. I will not stand here and tell you otherwise, but if you have heard that even phones were found after some of these attacks, and even people made calls to it was people they knew. They grew up in those places. I just wanted to add to that, but I agree with the analysis of the perpetrators of these killings in other crimes, apart from that in Plateau State and Jugo.
Thank you so much. That was the principal partner, Black Palms Consult law firm. He's also the team lead of Varina Initiative for Peace and Justice and Development. He's also a two-time legal advisor for the Ugwuonye Movement and the Ugwuonye Development Association, Barrister Redzie Jugo. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yes, and you asked us also to let you go by 8 p.m. So we are letting you go. So
thank you.
Now I can see some hands up. Let us take some participants' question and comment. Emmanuel Z, I have asked you to unmute.
Hello, good evening to the organizers of this program and all the people that are here present. I may not call all by name. I am so happy to be part of this meeting. In fact, I had to leave another one on Eventbrite just to join this. I am from Plateau State. I am Birom from Plateau State. I have listened to all the submissions by all the people that have spoken. Jugo got it almost well. Most of the people, I don't want to go back to history to start recounting, but you could see that this is a deliberate attempt. I know that it is good that at the end of this, would find a way and provide solutions. I was in Joe Science's IDP camp in 2018 when Gashis was attacked. And then I listened to, people give us first-hand information of how they were attacked. This is a conspiracy. This is a plan to annihilate Plateau indigenes. I want to say that before now, people, even the Biron, people were accused of stealing cattle that belongs to the Fulanis. That was in the past, but when other tribes were beginning to be touched, that was when they realized that this was a general problem for all of us all. I know it started from Birom land. What I want to advise Plateau people to do is to learn to put heads together. I want to tell that government is not willing and will not do anything. This thing is deliberate. It is planned. I remember a very pathetic story that when you hear, you want to shed tears of a family who was displaced in a village in Gashis district. And then, the woman went back to get foodstuff from her house. And eventually, when she got there, she met Fulani people had already moved into her house. And she didn't meet the Fulani man at home, but she met his wife. And then the wife asked her, "What brought you here? Please." And she said, "I have come to get some foodstuff to feed my family." And then the Fulani woman told her, "Please, just take a little and go." The woman didn't take the foodstuff by herself. It was the Fulani woman who has moved into her house who gave her little of that foodstuff and said, "Please go before my husband comes back, because if he finds you here, he's going to kill you." Now, that is so pathetic that you go to the farm, you cultivate, you harvest your crop, and then you don't enjoy those foodstuff because you've been displaced. Gashis people are farmers, basically. Now, this is not just about cattle land. People call it herders farmers clash. It is not true. I wish, like the doctor said, he has gone to. I don't want where stakeholders are giving stories. Honestly, some of these stakeholders stay in town. They don't even know, the real thing. Go to the villagers and get first-hand information. They will tell you what happened. These people are known. They are not from anywhere. They are people that stay around there. I remember in Gashis, the story that some of these women told was that the night they were attacked, I think it was around 28th of June or thereabout, 2018, that the night they were attacked, the number of the STF commander was not connecting. They kept calling this man for hours and then the number didn't connect. This was a deliberate attempt to give way. In fact, I remember cases in Barikiladi, the same Barikiladi, that an ID card of a police officer was picked at a crime scene and they moved him to Abuja, and that was the end of the story. I remember the story of Dogono Hawa. That's from 2010 to 2018. That's 8 years after those people were massacred. The same thing happened. I remember the GOC, the then governor, was so helpless. People said the GOC was called and all that. And, deliberately, he didn't give the same command you heard about Dong, where someone was killed recently, and the soldiers to come there and say they have not been given a command to do anything. They just come and see and go. So I want to advise that whoever is working in the military or whoever knows people that work in the military, especially from the South, I'm so happy because I noticed that a lot of Southerners are here. They should understand that this is not a Plateau situation. It is a Nigerian situation. They have come for our heads now. They are moving down south and very, very fast. People should understand that we have to come together and work as Nigerians and not look at our differences. No, that is a northern problem. They should just be there and it's a Hausa thing. It is beyond this. And I want to advise that we have to come together and be united. Else, I'm telling you, they will get all our heads in due time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Z. Let us hear from Maxwell. Maxwell, go on. Your hand has been up for a while now, so we've gotten to you. Maxwell, go on. Okay, I think he has bad network and we lost him there. Let us go to Emeka Oraituka.
Yeah, thank you very much for having. Hello, am I through?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. Please go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, very good and important discussion we are having this evening. But I want to understand something. In Plateau State, for instance, how many ethnic groups make up Plateau State? Can the organizers of this program avail us of that that number, the number of
52.
ethnic groups in Plateau State.
52.
52.
Yes.
Yeah, 52. And the problem in Plateau State now centered around how many ethnic groups presently?
8.
And what are the other ethnic groups doing to combat this? Because I understand that the former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, who was the president when the civil war was fought, kept telling us that we should be praying. Yeah? We should be praying to solve the insecurity in Nigeria. What is Gowon's contribution and other military generals in Plateau State? What are their contribution to what is happening now? I want to know. I want people to help me understand that. Now,
okay, let us. Are you done?
Yeah, on the issue of state police, I want to ask something. The governors keep saying that they are the chief security officers in their states, but on the other hand, they are handicapped. They cannot give command to commissioner of police in their domains. Now, what I want to understand is, are they chief security officer in command or chief security officer in operation? Are they on the field? The truth of the matter is that we are not telling ourselves the truth. The fact is that when we talk of state police, it's a constitutional issue. It's not for the governor to start giving orders to the commissioner of police. We saw what happened in New York under Andrew Cuomo, Governor Andrew Cuomo, that was just disgraced of recent. He gave order on the COVID on the Thanksgiving Day that police should go inside various houses and enforce the social distancing and the wearing of masks. The police authorities there told him that they cannot do so. He cannot tell them to do so. If it is in Nigeria, if the police is under the state, the governor will sack the commissioner of police, and nothing happened. No, we should understand that the issue of state police has nothing to do with governor controlling the giving command like a headmaster to the commissioner of police. It's a constitutional issue. You are chief security officer in command. You are not chief security officer in operation. Otherwise, they should take over the operation work. Now, if you talk of state police, Nigeria, the way Nigeria is configured, state police is not possible. Because why? Nigeria is not a community to start with. You must have conditions for state police to thrive. One, the country must be either one religion or one language. US is practicing state police because you have one religion or you have one language, and that is English language. Now, in Plateau State, how do you intend to enforce state police when you have 52 ethnic groups? The governor is one of the ethnic groups. He will now populate the police with his group, and you have intertribal war on your hand. State police can only work in Southwest and Southeast because of homogeneity of language, but it cannot work in other geopolitical zones. So we should bear this at the back of our mind if we are talking. The problem we have in Nigeria is that we've not been able to put up our thinking caps to find a way of intelligent gathering that we secure and protect people. That is what we should be looking at. The way and manner we should gather intelligence on crime in a protective and secured manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emeka. All right, so let us call on Pamsin Daigat to comment on your submission. Pamsin.
Well, I heard the last speaker very well and his analogy, but there have been a lot of discourse that have proven that his position may not be correct. As we are speaking, the federal government has approved Operation Rainbow in Plateau State. And that Operation Rainbow is like an intelligence gathering that is instituted. Yeah, just go. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go on.
Now, I just want to say that the Operation Rainbow, even at that, we're able to get intelligence that there will be an attack in a community, not once, not twice, not thrice. But the operators, the operations, those who are supposed to go and then mitigate whatever happened, didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. Even the one that happened in Uruguay, information was gathered that there's likely to be crisis there. The 3rd Armored Division is just a stone throw. In fact, from the house of the GOC, he can see the community that is being ravaged. Nothing happened. But if you have an arm of government where the people from the various communities will be integrated into a system that will enable them manage the security of their particular areas, it works. And it has been proven to have worked. So this idea that until we have single ethnic nationality or that, I don't think that analogy is very clear. It's not likely to be the best analogy. So I will want to say that let's give it a chance, because it is madness for us to have a system that is not working and we said we want to maintain the system. It doesn't make sense, because how can you solve a problem with the same scenario that has not been able to affect any change over time? So I still believe that that state police is an option that we should look at. And I believe that putting it together effectively with the rules that will guide their functionality will be able to save life.
Okay, let us go back to one of our panelists today, Emeka Ugwuonye. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's been an interesting. I can hear you.
You were once talking about state police before I had to cut you short, and when you talked about self-defense. Now, listening to our participants and their different submissions, what's your take?
Well, you see, when we talk about police and defense generally, we must talk about the nature of violence, the nature of the violence we are dealing with. I don't think that the Fulani, this crisis we are discussing tonight, are the type of crisis where we look at the police. Now, it looks more like a military operation. It looks like something far more serious than a mere breakdown of law and order. It's in breakdown of law and order that we talk about police. I've heard my friends and colleagues in the panel speak about state police. Yes, that would be very good, inevitably, because we have what we call the low-scale dimensions to violence. For instance, before the Fulani herdsmen will attack a village, there would have been some movement. There would have been some observations, certain things that could be, observable, activities that are abnormal. That's where the police will come in, detect unusual presence, detect unusual movement. But when we begin to deal with this large-scale attack involving the use of sophisticated weapons and advanced organization and planning, I don't think it is something you expect a police station to address. It's not something like somebody pointing a knife or threatening someone with a knife or a murder case. They say we don't call these things murder, we call them genocide, ethnic cleansing. So we're talking of very organized and systemic use of violence. I don't know if others share this view with me. Police, state police is important, but that's not really the immediate solution. Because if you don't address at a higher level, at a military, broader defense point of view, the issue of this violence and you create state police, what you are going to trigger is a civil war, essentially. Because in that case, the state police personnel appointed into state police will understand that their role is to come and defend a state against incursion from another state. or to defend a particular ethnic group against attack by another ethnic group. So please, this notion of state police should be very carefully handled in the context of these killings in Plateau State. And because there are other things. These killings have taken ethnic dimension. That's why we're talking about ethnic cleansing. And if you're having an ethnic cleansing situation and you want to tackle it with the police, you're going to have a problem, which is assuming Plateau State now has its own police force, state police force. Are there Fulani people in Plateau State, naturally, apart from this violence? Is there any part of Plateau State that is occupied by indigenous, by Fulani people, Fulani ethnic people? If so, will they be appointed into the state police? Are we going to create a state police that will explicitly say, we don't want any Fulani member joining our state police? So it is a little complicated. When we talk about state police, let us be talking more in the terms of certain abuses of human rights, certain problems and corruption in the police force, certain inability of the police to address crime adequately in some places. But when we are talking of something at the level of ethnic cleansing and civil war, or threatening civil war, the state police is not a solution. That's what I think, really. Otherwise, you are inviting a civil war. Nigeria, the doctor has left. I would have liked him to stay longer because these issues are not yet exhausted. We are talking about measures for holding Nigerian president responsible. If we can say to Buhari, these people that died in Jos, you killed them. You killed them through neglect. You killed them through commander responsibility. Yes, commander's responsibility, that's what we call it. When you fail to do what you're supposed to do to protect people, and as a result of your failure, people under you cause harm or destruction, we hold you responsible. And that is when we talk about the ICC, possibility of ICC intervention, possibility of special United Nations criminal process here, so that if we can hold the IG, the military commanders, the president responsible in some fashion, this could actually change the game faster. That could change the game faster. Because in that case, the president cannot hide, politicians can no longer hide behind Fulani headsmen, the unknown Fulani headsmen, the unknown bandits, the unknown gunmen. All these things that Nigerians have fashioned recently in describing these whole-scale killings all over the country. If we can hold them responsible for it, then the unknown gunmen will become known. And in that case, we're saying, we don't care. We know the leaders. We know those who have the responsibility or capacity to stop these violence and who failed to stop it and who should be held responsible for failure. So until we do that, I don't think we're going to, make a headway, because apparently what is going on is not hurting the politicians, even though it's getting close with the recent assassination of the son of a senator in Kaduna State. It is getting close to them. The kidnapping is getting close to them. The ravages in the Maiduguri, the politicians and the senators they are crying that they can't go to their villages. They're all afraid of being kidnapped. That is getting to them. But that's not the way it should be. There should be a systemic process for punishment, for accountability, directed at the political leaders of Nigeria. So if you want to be the president of Nigeria, you better understand that we will hold you responsible for these random killings occurring everywhere. That is my suggestion. My opinion on the state police issue. I don't think it's important. Don't get me wrong. We need state police for a different reason, but we don't need state police to deal with the killing in Plateau State. Okay, it's again back to arming people to fight against each other. If that is it, that's a civil war, which is why it's not going to work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I apologize for my lack of video once again. Now, You just mentioned that state police is not the immediate solution and we should hold government accountable. How do you suggest we go about this? And what is the immediate solution? Those are two different questions. What is the immediate solution and how do we hold government accountable?
Well, when there is an ongoing violence, generally, what you need to do is to move in there and stop it. We have soldiers. We have soldiers in this country. If they don't have a weapon, give them weapons. If their commanders are complicit, remove their commanders, change them. Nigeria has army. I don't think that the Fulani herdsmen will overpower Nigerian army. Move them into these territories, rescue them, stop the killings. So people are telling the president, move for a vote of, emergency on security, on security issues. I'm not thinking in terms of emergency per se. The president has already sufficient power to call his military commanders and say, no more killing in Plateau State. Get in there, eliminate anybody who threatens peace there. And they will go there. If there is crisis anywhere in the night, the phone lines of the military commanders will go through. They'll dispatch
just to cut it short. Now, we have seen that the federal government are not about to do this. They're not about to take this action that you just suggested. So what do you think is a practical solution that people can actually take to solve this problem?
Well, very, very important question. You see, this is also a very tricky question because I don't want to say let them defend themselves. That's not a solution, really. So the only thing that has not been done is to hold Nigerian leaders accountable at international forum. Franklyne mentioned ICC operation, ICC investigation. That is probably what I think will have an immediate effect. If the Buhari is indicted, not that he personally killed anybody, but he failed, his negligence of duty led to it. So if that happens, everybody sits up. You know, even a warning, a diplomatic action, I don't know how that could be mobilized, but certainly if there is a strong position out in the international forum, United Nations, ICC, strong worded letters should say we are holding the leaders of Nigeria responsible for this. The sad thing is that we are not even seeing much of that. Even United Nations Human Rights Rapporteur, who has done a whole lot of work everywhere, including the current activities in Afghanistan and Myanmar recently, and in Turkey over Khashoggi, no such active position is being taken on Nigeria. The Nigerian killing is not receiving adequate attention at these fora, and I don't know why. Probably because I can't tell you, I can say it, but I know it's just pointless to say, okay, I'm the people, let the villagers fight each other and defend themselves. It's not going to stop what is going on. It might help in isolated cases, but it plunges that's not going to be a security for a woman, a farmer who needs to go to the farm. If you tell her, well, don't worry, your killer is still in your farm. The only difference is now you have AK-47 with you, along with your machete. A reasonable farmer will still not go. He doesn't want to be involved in the exchange of gunfire. So, what can we do? Create the international pressure. I mean, a full discussion in United Nations. Do we have lobbying groups? Do we have capacity of tabling this? Do we have the capacity of focusing the United Nations Human Rights Rapporteur on Nigeria? That is the kind of thing that creates media, creates awareness, creates a sense of accountability, even at that level. If we do that, probably, then we can reverse the other trend which you observe, that is, that the government is not doing anything. So we are trying to get them to do what they should do, really, not to try something completely different from what they should do.
All right, thank you so much. Let us call on the next person. I can see Elder Tango Ugochukwuhan. Elder Tango.
Thanks for having me again. Elumba is doing great. What I'm saying is that Dr. Nwaezeigwe cleared the whole point quite well. We have common enemy, and the common enemy is Fulani. Fulanis, whether you call it a herdsmen or anything else, any name you give them is Fulani. They need the land, they need the occupation. It's open. Talking of Buhari, Buhari said jihadist for a long time, not today. All Buhari signed for years to come, all is signed. But Buhari in question was my GOC in 4th division, before I became head of state. I know his Muslim activities. And now Buhari is the joker they are using all over the world, all over Nigeria, stopping. Question I have now is that state police is powerless. Before I was blaming the governors, they are powerless. Commissioner of police, we are posted by the federal, promoted by federal. So the governors of the state have no influence. The security caretaker they give them is just for saying. They are not securing anything. My next question now will go to Barrister, the last speaker, Barrister Emeka Ugwuonye and Dr. Nwaezeigwe. No, Dr. Ogbunwezeh. To answer me this question. Because ICC cannot do it. ICC cannot do anything if UN didn't move. And the Fulani systematically planted 2 representatives in UN. So if UN didn't take action, international criminals this cannot do anything. So what I want to ask one of them will answer me this question. Dr. Ogbunwezeh. Would they continue killing people before the ICC come? Or the UN want to use Nigeria to reduce the global population? Because the killing is happening every day. Now, this matter before was we were saying that it was a tribal or against this tribe, against people, but now it's general. How can we solve this general problem? How can this problem?
Okay.
I'm coming. Give me some minutes. If we didn't defend ourselves, one day there will be mass killing, there will be mass genocide, and nothing will happen. So, this question I ask now will be answered by Dr. Ogbunwezeh or Onyemaechi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ogbunwezeh is no longer here with us. And I think Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye have actually spoken on that, but I think he'll be able to come back to that. But let's just call on the next person, and then hopefully he'll be able to react to all this at once. Dr. Emeka Obiarairi.
Thank you.
Dr. Emeka.
Thank you so much. You see, what I've observed over the last 1 hour is the general problem in South and Middle Belt. We speak too much grammar, profile all manner of highfalutin theories about here. We're talking about right to life. Right to life is a non-negotiable right. It's a right that is superior to the Nigerian Constitution. My right to live, my right to breathe, my home, is a right that is superior to the even Nigerian Constitution. I am in my house. If I have an intruder in my house with an AK-47 opening my door to shoot at me, and I have a pump action, I won't wait for him to shoot me or begin to call DPO. I will take him down first. Before going to DPO to go and report what transpired, of course, I have CCTV in my house that can relate and narrate what happened. Let me tell us the truth, and the truth is the truth I must accept. In Benue State now, we have IDPs. Just away. Somebody just narrated a story. A woman went to her house after she had been displaced. She saw people occupying her house. They didn't even allow her to come and pick food. And of course, there are people from that community Somebody, people came into your own community, chased you guys away from your father's land. They remain in that community. Are there no longer men and youth in those communities? Are the police and army guarding those people in those communities 24/7? See, let us be honest with ourselves. And this thing will keep on trying to absorb the governors. They don't have constitutional rights. They are not chief executive. But do we realize that these governors collect 10%, 20% of the allocations to the states as security votes? Most of these governors, from Benue State to Plateau State to Taraba, to Imo State to Abia, to other Ebonyi State, collect between 400 million to 700 million naira every month as security vote. What do they do with those monies? The state police cannot solve this problem. And I will tell you this, the Fula militias, the Fula bandits, the Fula herdsmen that carry AK-47, that carry all manner of sophisticated weapons, they are not Nigerian army. They are not licensed state actors. So how do they go if they can carry those licenses, carry those guns, and stay in your forest? What stop the governors? You know, even sometimes when I hear the Benue State governor lament and also, I get angry. You have youth in your community. Let me tell us the truth. For example, now I'm from Imo State. If the governor decides today, look at Ondo State. Akaredelu signed the anti-open grazing law yesterday. As of today, Amatokun has arrested hundreds of cows that defy that law. That is how state executives should behave. You mobilize your people. Set up vigilantes. Let me tell you, an unarmed man is as useless as anything. Even a man with shakabula, pump action, properly organized, cannot be overwhelmed by some limited number of bandits. Like, for example, now I come from a state that has 650 autonomous communities. I did a proposal to my governor, even to the past governor, to set up a state vigilante, fully motorized, with motorcycles, 640 communities, each of them producing 10 youths. Even if you arm them with pump action, fully coordinated by either a retired DSS officer or a commissioner of police. If these guys know, the Fula bandits know that every community in the state has 10 motorized, fully armed, licensed vigilantes with walkie-talkie communication gadgets, with drones, everybody coordinating, where would they run to? If you go to Abia State now, go to Okigwe now, Imo State, the Fula bandits are kidnapping people anyhow. Last 2 weeks, they kidnapped lecturers in the Sukwato. And the Sukwato is a place that produced the former chief army staff. If the Imo State government and Abia State government have functioning vigilantes, even the people, the indigenous in diaspora, can easily support them financially without them touching their fucker jack. But the people need institutional support by one of the governors coming out and saying, we are going to stop this madness. First of all, pass open grazing law, anti-open grazing law. When you pass it, you mandate the vigilantes to enforce it. The man who is kidnapping in Okigwe, knowing fully well there are vigilantes in all the communities around, where will he run to? If the vigilantes closing in their bushes, all of them armed, how many would they kill? You have 6,000 men tackling few hundred men. By the time they realize there are equal forces and violent forces licensed to oppose them, they will not come there. All these things we are lamenting, complaining. Oh, the governors are not doing this. Buhari is not body language. Let me tell you, when Buhari understands that the indigenous people are out to protect themselves, legally, not illegally, and these state governors in power, state assembly pass a law, there's no law against vigilante, license them, I tell you, this madness will stop. If we do not take practical steps, we'll keep on talking about, constitution. Let me tell you, it is going to get worse as we enter 2022. It will get worse. The earlier the people take up steps to protect themselves, right to life is a non-negotiable right. You cannot come to my community, sack my community, and occupy it. And I have a governor. If I'm the governor of a state, like Akadoli is doing, you can't enter my state. Whether I have army, I have police, I have constitutional right and immunity to protect my people. And I will go ahead and protect them.
May I come in?
Thank you very much. Yes, Pamson, please.
You see, the last speaker, what he's just narrated is the function of the state police we are talking about. You cannot start organizing an unknown set of people. You cannot, as a governor, start initiating these issues he's talking about. State police is taking people from the community to secure their community. All these issues you are saying, under a state police, you can coordinate yourself, coordinate your people, give them the necessary ammunition to get things done. The mistake many people are doing is that this is what is happening on the plateau is not an outright war between the Fulanis and the indigenous community. What is happening is that the Fulani will just wake up 10 or 7 men with their AK-47, go to a particular community, sporadically shoot, kill a number of people and disappear. If you have a coordinated security of each community, they will be able to control and manage and protect their community. If there is an infringement, they have the capacity to do the investigation. They have the capacity to gather evidence. All the issues you are saying you are going to see ICC, that is for the theoretical and those in law to handle. But the truth, the physical way we can manage and protect our people is multifaceted. Why the legal people are doing their thing, the most physical thing of going about it is to coordinate communities. And only the governor, based on our own structure, can have the opportunity of doing that based on the fact that he controls our taxpayers' money. He can coordinate that. Now, if you don't have a governor that can do that, like the case of Plateau State, you will find out that the only option you are left with is to remove these leaders. And the process of removing these leaders is as tedious as passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. So the point here still goes back to who is managing these states. Now, take Benue, for instance. The man understands what to do. He understands what he needs to do. But are you aware that the federal government are shortchanging Benue State even in the funding? They are not giving the funds that they need. So the man is even starved of the resources to get this thing done. We cannot just sit down and be talking without understanding the way our system works. What is happening is a deliberate connivance in order to alienate people. And I agree with the last speaker totally. The right for life is what we are talking about. We presently, the biggest religious, Christian religious body, that is Kokin in Plateau State, next to the Catholic Church, have come out openly and told their members, go and get something to protect yourself. Clearly, the House of Assembly on the Plateau, the speaker, they addressed the people and said, people, we have tried, it is not working. We have resolutions, nothing is happening. Go and protect yourself. Now, the problem we are facing is that if we leave a blanket check of everybody going to protect themselves, we may end up like Somalia. We may have warlords in each communities that are managing their own communities, and at the end of the day, we will have a much more bigger breakdown of law and order. You need a structured system. And I think that the community policing, in quotes, we are trying to refer to something that will give the governors the impetus to coordinate each community in the light of what the last speaker said. So if we are giving out a solution, we must look for what is the instrument, what is the structure that solution can be implemented.
Let me ask you, Mr. Degiat, does Plateau State government have a vigilante system established by the state government? Because I know that every southeast state have vigilante police system. Is that obtainable in Plateau State? You are muted. You are muted.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. A vigilante.
You have muted yourself again. Why do you mute yourself?
I think something is wrong with, maybe it's the way I'm holding my peace. Okay. I think now I'm good. A vigilante system is by voluntary membership.
No. In Anambra State,
I'll get to you.
In Anambra State, there is a law.
Just relax.
Yes.
Just give me the moment to express myself. And the normal vigilante system is a voluntary system where community individuals just agree to put themselves together. But what Plateau State government did in the past government, which I am part of, we went further to have a system that we got the president of the Federal Republic then, Goodluck Jonathan, to assent to it as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to give us the right to form an institution-based system. And that is what we call the Operation Rainbow. We bought 10 vehicles for each local government, 10 hillocks. We trained 50 people for each local government in the first instance. And we are going downwards to get motorcycles, and then there was a change of government. This government came, scrap everything. The Operation Rainbow is still there as a legal institution that we can use, which is the equivalent of the state policing we are talking about. We have people in every community in that particular system. The communities that have Fulanis, it is the Fulani people that are there. The communities that have Burums, it is the Burum people that are there. The Irigwe communities, is the Irigwe people that are there. If we have that system, and that system by the law of the land has empowered them to have some semblance of weapon of coercion.
Mr. Degian, my question is, at the present time, does the Plateau State government have an institutionalized state police system? Don't call it state police, but state vigilante outfit, institutionalized and passed by enabling. Sorry?
Yes. Yes.
Is it operational now? That's what I want to know.
Operation Rainbow.
Is it operational now?
Yes.
Okay, it's operational. Okay, I just want to know. That's all.
It's operational. But what I'm saying is that the governor decided to downplay it and only left only the commandant in the office.
It's no longer operational. So it's no longer operational.
It is there in books with budget, but it is not running based on the community structure that it is designed for. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And that's why we are saying the governor should go.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amsin. Let us go back to our panelist, Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe.
Okay. I want to thank the last speaker. What's his name? Not Daga, Daga Emeka. Thank you very much. You spoke my mind. We talk a lot, and I'm surprised that my brother Pamsin will be trying to build up some excuses. The issue we are talking about is not a police action. Police is a law enforcement agency. There is the difference between law enforcement agency and military action. So when you are talking of state police, the police are not trained for combat operations. So state police is not a problem. We are talking a problem whereby the Janjaweeds, the Fulani Janjaweeds, you see, in 1825, Sheikh Ali of Tunis talked about the Middle Belt. Said, if this, how did he describe them? Pagan tribes. If these pagan tribes can unite together and attack Zaki, who was Zaki, Usman Dan Fodio, and attack him, unite and attack him, they will not be having the victory they're having. And they know the way that, they know that we are divided. They go and attack Kafanchan. Bukuru people will be sleeping. They attack another time, the other people will be sitting and be watching them. They attack in isolationist, pattern. Once the people are united, and that is why we said we have an organization we are formed, United Action Against Fulani Jihad. Because what is going on is, against Fulani genocide. What is going on is a Fulani, organized Fulani jihad. People who are talking about ICC, I think they are somnambulating, they are sleepwalking. Because what was the outcome of the ICC intervention in Sudan? After many people have been killed in Darfur, by the former president, the only thing they could now is to hand him over. Just one person, but thousands of people have died. And we are talking about state police. We state be in every community. These people don't attack in the daytime. They attack in the night. You want to mount states, even if it is state police, you want to mount the state police at every community to be guiding the community? I think these are impossibilities we don't have to argue about. We are talking about contingency situation. Life, we are entitled to our life. How do we protect it now? And the only way we can protect it is not a question of just issue. Southern Kaduna has been there. The Nasarawa, we heard about the Nasarawa situation. Nasarawa situation has been there. Adamawa, they're all there. Gombe. So it's not, Plateau, the case of Plateau is not alone. It is coordinated. It's a coordinated issue, which we have to look in a broader sense. We have to look at it in a broader sense, not just Plateau, it's not Plateau State. What we need is, one, when the whole Nigerians decide today, enough is enough, and it will stop. If they're attacking people in Benue State, and they know that people in Plateau State will be sleeping, the Plateau State people will go and join Benue State and deal with the situation at the same time. If they're attacking people in Enugu State, the Anambra State people should not be sleeping because they know theirs is the right way. You go ahead and join them and neutralize the situation. That is what we want. Not they get one community, slaughter them. The other, they go to the other community. They go again. Who are they? I've interacted with them. I know where some of them come from. They are lazy people. Listen, the Fulani have never conquered any nation by the Fulani alone. They've always colluded with either use mercenaries or saboteurs within the group. And that is why they normally go in the night. You never see any Fulani attack in the daytime. So what we are talking about, and that is what we are talking, and that is what we people in United Action Against Fulani Genocide are talking about. We have, okay. But yes, let me conclude, please. Let me conclude. We have a duty to protect our lives in this Nigeria. We have a duty to live as free citizens of this country. We have not suffered. You see, if they're telling us that because we did not fight our battle, our independence from the British by arms, that it is now that we are going to fight by arms for our second independence from internal, from local imperialism, we'll be ready to do it. But we will not allow our people to be slaughtered piecemeal. They kill this person today, they kill this person today. They attack this community, the governor will cry, the people will cry. It has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. It's not a Plateau matter, it's not a Southern Kaduna matter, it's not an Imo matter, it's not an Enugu, it is a Nigerian matter. In Central African Republic, the Muslims are just 6%. With the help of mercenaries, they overthrew the government. The president fled. The army disintegrated. Just as I'm sensing the Nigerian army will soon be, it's already disintegrating. Because where an army where some selected people in the army are killed, even in their barracks, we tell the authorities tracing them. All they can tell us is that they are chasing them in the forest. NDA at the center of the town. Bandits entered an officer's quarter, dragged them, killed some, kidnapped some in Nigeria, and we are clapping. And we are clapping, and we are sleeping. We are going to church. We are praising the government. If the army cannot protect the officer, do you know what it takes to train an officer in the army, what it costs? And then they take one army and kill him, and the commanders are just there. Do you think such can happen in a civilized world? When because of one soldier, the United States, the president of the United States or Prime Minister of Britain can call off his engagement because of the death of one soldier in a foreign land. I want us to look at it. It's not
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Coming here to coming here to talk and hypothesize and so on and so forth. This is time for action. There are churches. It's right time. Those going to church, we say, look, pastor, bishop, general overseer, if you cannot come out to defend us, we are not coming to church again. It is also right time for the Christians of this country.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
It is right time for the Christians of this country to tell all their members in the National Assembly to come out, withdraw. Even civil service, it's right time people stop going to work. Because you can't be going to work to a country, you can't be serving a country that cannot protect you. You are kidnapped, the kidnappers, then you have some people. There's UN Convention on hostage taking. And you see somebody like who? Like Sheikh or whatever. We go and negotiate with the bandits and take money and give them. He will now come over and stay in his home comfortably, and the government will accord him all respects. Somebody will go, a no person, a governor will go and snap pictures with the bandits, and then they will showcase it on newspaper, and we come back, and we're talking of bandits, a state governor, and we think it's a joke. Please, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, our sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor.
This is a serious matter, and as I'm talking about Central African Republic, the people rose. The people rose in Central African Republic and said 6% people cannot rule us. They rose. And today, most of those Fulani people are the people that are pushing down to Nigeria today. Because I was with them in Galambulai refugee camp in northern Cameroon. I was with them, and that is where they were being pushed today in Nigeria. All the displaced Fulani people who tried to overthrow government in Central African Republic. I was with them in Galambulai refugee camp in Cameroon, and now pushing them back. And it's not a Plateau case, it's not a Southern Carolina case, it is a Nigerian case. Look, I'm a Niger Delta, I'm an Igbo, but I'm a Nigerian. I believe in one Nigeria, the reason being that we cannot leave our brothers in the north to be slaughtered and to be used as, as willing powers or just as slaves by those people who believe they have inalienable right to live. The people who believe that they are born to rule. That is our position, and I want to state quite that time has come. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you so much, our guests. Now, due to time constraints, I'm going to ask that the last three hands, bear with me, you have to keep your submissions as short as possible. We're trying to round off the program. So I'm going to take the three submissions at once, and then we'll let our guests react, and we'll conclude. Emeka, all right.
Yeah. Hello, can you?
Yes.
Am I on?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
The issue on ground here in Nigeria does not need emotion. We need to tackle it, keeping emotion aside. Now, they have been accusing the President Muhammadu Buhari, of Fulanization. The question that comes to mind is this: is the president really a Fulani? Now, if pursuing Fulani agenda, he's the president, and everything in Nigeria is on his palm. Why is he pursuing Fulani agenda? We must understand the issue in Islam before we talk. The point is that there are two empires in the north. One, Kanem Borno Empire, which is Borno now, and Sokoto Empire. When Usman Danfodio came to Nigeria, he said he brought Islam to Nigeria. The Kanem Borno had been practicing Islam before Usman Danfodio's father was born, about 700 years, through Trans-Sahara. They got Islam ahead of Usman Danfodio's father. Not Usman Danfodio. They now told him, if his fight came from, come out and we'll give you fight. He went to the present day Northwest and conquered the Hausas establish the Emirate system there, you will discover that in Borno and associated states, Yobe and the rest of them, they don't have Emir as their leader. They have Shehu of Borno. Understand this. There has been this fight of supremacy, just like the Protestant and Catholic. It's like that in Islam. They have been fighting, and this is the problem of the North.
Thank you so much, Emeka.
I did not submit.
Please conclude. Please conclude.
Now,
conclude.
The fight is on. Buhari is not a Fulani. Buhari is probably Hausa Kanuri or Kanuri. Hausa make up, they say his forefather is from Niger. Hausa make up 56% of Niger. Kanuri about 9% or so. I can't understand. Fulani came distant third. Buhari is either Hausa Fulani, Hausa Kanuri or Kanuri.
Thank you so much, Emma.
Yeah, that is this. Understand.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Emeka. All right, okay.
I will have to agree with you.
Yes, there's no time. So we'll have an informal discussion after this, then we'll let you speak then. Let us go to the next person. Skriba, your hand is up.
Thank you very much. I would like to phase my submission into a suggestion and a question. Technically, the state police and community policing are already being implemented. The state police is basically like the state vigilante services that is running across the federation. But let me give an example. In Borno State, there is this civil defense joint task force. It's basically like a state police under the Borno State government, but they have not been able to stop the terrorism that has plagued Borno State because this problem is trans-border. Now, police in, for example, Delta State, the normal Nigerian police force will find it difficult to chase criminals across their state borders into, for example, Anambra State. They have to pass through the normal chain of commands and all that. So why don't we look at, because these criminals or these bandits or these terrorists who have been committing all these murders, they are not domiciled in one state. They cross the state borders from Plateau, go to Nasarawa, from there to Benue, and they make all these actions and they run back. So the community police in, for example, Benue, they are not equipped to chase after or even perform their duties across state borders. Same thing with the ones in Nasarawa, same thing with the ones in Plateau State. So why don't we look at regional policing, whereby each of the geopolitical zones, the 6 geopolitical zones, have a security apparatus protecting the entire geopolitical zone? Because these Fulani militias or these bandit groups, the ones who operate in, for example, Sokoto, and all the ones who come to Benue, they might be affiliated, but you find out that the ones who operate in Sokoto are the ones who operate around Zamfara and Kebbi axis. The ones who operate in Yobe are the ones who operate around Borno, Gombe axis. The ones who operate in Benue are the ones who operate around Kogi, Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau axis. So I think that we should actually be looking at a geopolitical or regional police apparatus or security apparatus that covers a larger expanse, because these criminals, as much as the Nigerian international borders are porous, the state borders are even more porous. So these people can cross around. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Skriba. Let us take the last submission and then we'll call on our guests to react, and we will leave Magaji's iPhone. That's the name I can see here, Magaji.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please
good
go
evening, panelists. Yes, good evening, panelists. Good evening, co-participants. My name is Magaji Ayok. I want to appreciate the Lumba perspective for what you're doing. I sincerely appreciate. My contribution is particularly in support of those who are calling for the right to life. I am a victim, I should say. My own cousin was killed in his farm. I am from the Zango Katap Axis, and my cousin was killed in his farm. And what happened that fateful Thursday was that everyone, because of the killing, the spread of killings, people decided, okay, the community decided that when going to the farm, they should all gather themselves together to go. Now, that day, they were there, but because of the grown crops, these Fulani people took advantage of the green, the crops that are already grown, hid under those crops and shot my cousin. Now, someone is here saying we should talking about community policing. Where this thing happened is not a place where the police can go, even though they are community people. Before they get there, sufficient damage must have been done. I remember somebody said a true farmer, even with an AK-47 on his neck, will not go to the farm. I disagree with that. I stand corrected. I disagree with that. I am of the opinion that people should be given the right to carry their AK-47 as well. Let's face each other. It's only a coward that comes killing at night. If we are at war, let us come all out at once and face each other. And let it be known that we are at war. And the fear of Rwanda, the fact that war took place in Rwanda, does that wipe away Rwanda? Rwanda is, people are still existing in Rwanda. Let's first kill ourselves. Maybe those that are left alive will have the right to life. But to have a few, like my friend Patrick will always say, microscopic few, killing people and going with it is what I beg to disagree with. I am of the opinion that we should be allowed to carry guns. If my people had guns, why does those, and you can imagine, it was only 2 Fulani men that went to the farms that day, that Thursday, and they were able to kill my cousin. The others were able to run. Some jumped into the water. Some were able to hide somewhere else. Imagine if someone had an AK-47, as they go one person down, they will follow them and also kill them. But because they are well armed, and all the people in that community, none has a gun, because the Nigerian forces will not allow anybody to have anything to defend himself. So I am of the opinion that Nigerians should be allowed to carry AK-47 as well. Let us first live.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to call on our guest. I cannot see Emeka Ugwuonye again.
We should be ending it here. So it's already past time. Let's go to our main discussion.
Yes, it's past 9 o'clock already. So let's just call on Dr. Nwankwo Nwaezeigwe. Let's just get
no,
his
let's
final
end it
comments
here, please. I said let's end it here. Let's go to our discussion, please. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to hand over to Ellen.